At 17, Mason Greenwood looked unstoppable. He was two-footed, clinical, Manchester United's next star, already scoring in the Premier League, and capped for England by 19. But in 2022, everything collapsed overnight. Arrests, suspension, sponsors gone, and there was no way back to Old Trafford, despite charges being dropped. Why does a career built on relentless momentum unravel so fast? And can anything repair a legacy once it breaks? Inside Manchester United's academy, repetition was everything. Greenwood arrived as a boy who could strike a ball with either foot, but the coaches wanted more than flashes of natural talent. Each week, finishing drills lined up players for shot after shot, left foot, right foot, then back again, always under pressure. Greenwood's conversion rate in these sessions reached 70%, far above the usual numbers for his age group. Teammates noticed how rarely he missed, even when drills demanded volleys or headers from awkward angles. The staff tracked every touch, every finish, every small-sided game, and by 16, his stats told a clear story. In the under-18s, he scored 26 goals in 21 games. Those numbers did not come from luck. They came from patterns drilled into muscle memory, crossing from both wings, shooting first time, switching feet without pause. Academy coach Neil Ryan recalled Greenwood's calm efficiency. He made the most difficult finishes look routine. Other players talked about his hunger to repeat the same move until it became automatic. In that environment, rhythm was not just about confidence. It was a technical foundation built on thousands of repetitions. For Greenwood, those habits set the pace for everything that followed. The academy's structure demanded consistency, and he delivered it week after week, season after season. That rhythm would become the engine of his early rise. Greenwood's transition from academy promise to first-team regular happened at a speed few expected. In March 2019, he made his senior debut for Manchester United in the Champions League, stepping onto the pitch at just 17. By the start of the 2019 to 2020 season, he was no longer a fringe player. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer trusted him with starts in the Premier League and the Europa League, often ahead of more experienced forwards. Greenwood responded with goals that mattered. A late winner against Astana in Europe, clinical strikes against top-flight opponents, and a run of form that saw him finish the season with 17 goals across all competitions. No teenager at United had scored that many since Wayne Rooney. The club's faith was underlined in September 2020 when Greenwood signed a new long-term contract. That same month, he earned his first England cap, coming off the bench in a Nations League match against Iceland. His numbers reflected a player in full rhythm. He played 2,800 minutes in the 2019 to 2020 season, starting 32 games and scoring at a rate of nearly 1 goal every 90 minutes. Coaches spoke about his maturity and focus, noting how seamlessly he adapted to the demands of senior football. At 19, Greenwood was not just another academy graduate. He was seen as a cornerstone for the next era of Manchester United, carrying the momentum of a career that seemed set to accelerate without interruption. On the morning of January 30th, 2022, Greater Manchester Police announced the arrest of Mason Greenwood. Hours earlier, graphic images and audio had circulated widely on social media, naming him directly. The news traveled fast. By midday, Manchester United released a statement. Greenwood was suspended from all training and matches, effective immediately. There was no mention of return dates or further details. It was just the confirmation that he would not be part of the squad while the investigation continued. The suspension was total. He lost access to Carrington, the club's training ground, and was removed from all team activities. The club's decision was not unusual in elite football. When a player faces serious allegations, clubs invoke internal codes of conduct, often called morality or adverse conduct clauses, to protect their reputation and workplace environment. This allows them to suspend a player before any legal verdict, framing it as a precaution rather than a judgment. For Greenwood, this meant the rhythm of daily football vanished overnight. Sponsors responded even faster. Nike suspended its endorsement deal within 24 hours, citing contract terms that allow immediate action if an athlete's conduct risks damaging the brand. By July, the partnership was terminated. Other sponsors, including video game companies and commercial partners, quietly removed Greenwood's image and name from campaigns. A public relations analyst explained that for sponsors, the cost of staying attached to controversy is almost always higher than the cost of cutting ties. In less than 48 hours, Greenwood's career went from the routine of training and matches to complete isolation. The machinery of elite sport, club, sponsors, public image had all ground to a halt, and there was no indication of when or if it would restart. On February 2nd, 2023, the Crown Prosecution Service announced it was discontinuing the case against Mason Greenwood. The decision was based on the withdrawal of key witnesses and new evidence, which meant there was no longer a realistic prospect of conviction. Legally, the matter ended there. But in professional football, outcomes are rarely so clean. Manchester United launched its own internal review, independent from the criminal process, with a panel of senior executives and legal advisors weighing the evidence, the club's values, and the broader environment. The review stretched over 6 months, drawing input from players, staff, and representatives from the women's team. The club considered the wishes of the alleged victim, who did not participate directly, but whose family's perspective was included. The investigation did not find grounds to terminate Greenwood's contract for criminal conduct, but the question was never just legal. It became a test of reputation, culture, and risk. Public sentiment was clear. Petitions against his return gathered hundreds of thousands of signatures. Sponsors and partners warned of commercial fallout, dressing room dynamics, the safety and comfort of other employees, and the club's public image all weighed heavily. One sports psychologist described the environment as squad identity under scrutiny, a situation where reintegration could fracture trust within the team. On August 21st, 2023, Manchester United confirmed Greenwood would not return. The club's statement acknowledged the complexity. While the available evidence did not support the criminal charges, the difficulties of reintegration were too great. The decision was final. Greenwood's exit was not about a legal verdict, but about the reality that in elite sport, reputation and momentum are as decisive as any court ruling. The path back to football would have to begin somewhere else. Greenwood's return to professional football began in Spain. At Getafe, He logged over 2,500 league minutes during the 2023 to 2024 season, starting 25 of 33 La Liga matches. The numbers were steady, but not spectacular. He scored 8 league goals and provided 6 assists, with 2 more goals in the Copa del Rey. Across all competitions, he featured in 36 games and played nearly 2,800 minutes, far from the shadows, but no longer in the Premier League spotlight. The rhythm was different. Instead of building on early momentum, he was rebuilding from scratch, often playing in a side battling mid-table. The move to Marseille in France brought a fresh start. By mid-season, he had already reached around 1,500 League One minutes, with double-digit goals and several assists. The output was visible, and the minutes were real, but the path had changed. For a player whose early years were defined by constant game time and an upward trajectory, these seasons abroad told a different story, one measured not by headlines, but by the simple fact of being back on the pitch. A chart of his minutes before and after the suspension shows the gap clearly. 2 full years with almost no competitive football were followed by a gradual climb back, game by game. Transfer analysts tracked Greenwood's market value closely during his rise. By late 2021, estimates placed him among the most valuable young forwards in Europe, with some valuations topping £50 million. After his suspension and absence, that figure dropped by more than half. A transfer expert described it simply: the Premier League and England doors closed. Abroad, he is rebuilding, but the market sees him differently now. Sports psychologists point to the impact of lost rhythm. 2 years without competitive minutes during the most important stage of development. For a player whose identity was built around constant repetition and upward momentum, the interruption forced a reset. Greenwood's reputation shifted as well. Instead of being seen as a future England regular, he became a player searching for stability, far from the spotlight that once defined him. Recovery abroad offers minutes, but the sense of belonging and expectation that shaped his early career is gone. In elite football, value and identity are as much about perception as performance, and both are difficult to restore once lost. Today, reputational damage can outlast any cleared charge, ending careers before talent fades. In football's relentless spotlight, perception often outweighs fact. For every rising star, the margin for error keeps shrinking. The game moves forward, but some names never fully follow. Let me know your thoughts in the comments.